Welcome back to Good Morning San Diego, everybody. Okay, you're walking around, you look up in the sky here in San Diego County, and you see these amazing aircraft. They fly kind of like a helicopter and a plane. We've got one of the pilots from NCAS Miramar here. This is Captain Jonathan A. Champagne, a V-22 Osprey pilot. And before we get to the V-22, let's just talk about, he's a local guy, all right? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Humboldt, out in East County.
Where'd you go to high school?
Lighthouse Christian Academy in Lemon Grove, and then went to college out in San Diego State University.
All right, and you like to surf still?
Yeah. Favorite surf spot is Scripps Pier.
All right.
Mostly because it's close to my house.
Okay,
so,
there you go.
Yeah.
Where do you live?
I live over at Scripps Ranch.
Okay, so if you're surfing by the pier and you see this guy and you can pick his brain about these aircraft. So tell us, let's start with the basics. What is the V-22 and what is tilt rotor technology?
So the V-22 is by definition a powered lift aircraft for the FAA rotary wing aircraft. It is unique in its capability that it can take off like a helicopter and transition to forward flight and fly like an airplane.
And that's what we're seeing right here. So
exactly.
Describe what we're seeing in this video here.
So what you see there is the engine and the gearbox housings are all housed in that compartment called the nacelle out on the edge of the wing.
Okay.
And by tilting that allows us to change the thrust vector from a vertical orientation, basically flying like a helicopter like you're seeing there, and then transitioning to forward flight, much like a turboprop aircraft. So it increases our range and speed exponentially because we do not have to deal with a lot of the aerodynamic limitations that a helicopter has.
And what is the mission of this aircraft in the Marine Corps?
The V-22 is the Marine Corps' primary assault support aircraft. So what we mean by assault support is that our primary job is to carry troops and supplies into combat areas. So executing raids, rescue missions, etc., stuff like that. So anytime troops need to be inserted with a high-speed aircraft into a vertical type of helicopter landing zone, that's what our job is.
What are the major advantages? Because typically in the past, troops have been transported by helicopters primarily. What advantage does the V-22 bring to the Marine Corps?
So the V-22 brings a unique advantage in that we fly twice as fast as the next fastest helicopter. We will usually cruise at about 240 knots. So it's about 250, 255 miles an hour. And then we have about twice to 3 times the range of a normal helicopter. We can also aero refuel, extending our range exponentially.
Now, when we look at the screen right now, look at this video, what are we watching?
So that is called a blade fold wing stow, and because we do operate from amphibious shipping on naval vessels, we have to be able to take our relatively large footprint for a helicopter with those wings and prop rotors and be able to fold them into something that is easily stored on the ship. So what you see there is the full stowed position on the ship, and it's completely hydraulically actuated, pretty much like a transformer to get us ready.
Literally like a transformer,
yeah.
Huh? Oh, that's very cool. And that's, how long does this whole process take? We obviously sped it up.
So this whole process takes roughly about a minute.
Okay.
So it's fairly quick.
Now, what is it like? These things have so much power, and as you said off the top, so much lifting capability.
Yeah.
What is it like when you first learned to fly the V-22?
It's a little overwhelming because for me and many of my other peers, this is the first fleet aircraft that we've ever flown. We flew, most of us flew King Airs prior to flying the C-12. So it was a huge jump in power. Each one of those engines is 6,150 shaft horsepower, so times 2. And it has a lot of acceleration, and we can, climb very quickly. And it's a very capable aircraft, and it's quite overwhelming the first time you set foot in one.
And when you make this transition, we see it go from the helicopter mode, and then literally the rotors tilt forward to make it fly like an airplane.
Sure.
What is that? Is there an acceleration boost with that, or what does it feel like?
What it feels like, so the initial phases of the takeoff are much like a helicopter. You take off vertically, you're hovering, and then you kind of tilt the nose down a little bit, just like you would with a helicopter to accelerate. But where things change a lot is when you actually use your left thumb to rotate those huge nacelles on the end of the wing.
Those huge engines are rotated with just the end of your left thumb.
That's correct.
That's pretty amazing.
It is a small spring-actuated switch on your TCL. It's basically our thrust control lever. And by pushing that nacelle wheel forward, the nacelles will come forward into airplane mode, and then pulling it back, you'll go into helicopter mode. You see a lot of acceleration once you're transitioning into airplane mode, and that's probably the biggest difference between flying in a V-22 and a helicopter, because as you know, you've flown helicopters and airplanes before. The controls are essentially opposite if you're an airplane or a helicopter, so we have to consistently switch our mindset as we're flying this thing. So.
Wow. So for our viewers who might be walking around down in La Jolla enjoying a nice afternoon, and they see one of these things. I've seen them several times fly up and down the coast. We're used to seeing helicopters, but you see this amazing, huge aircraft fly by. What are you guys doing, maybe?
So if you're in the vicinity of the Torrey Pines Golf Course, we do have a course rules route that comes in from over the ocean down to Miramar. So if you're over there, you'll see us quite often. But we do a lot of training here to prep us for our deployments as we go overseas. So we do a lot of training up at Camp Pendleton. We do a lot of training out in the Imperial Valley as well. And our range and speed allows us to get over there pretty quickly. But we mostly focus on doing confined area landings into rough terrain and air-to-air refueling and tail gunnery, stuff like that, just basically making us proficient for when we deploy.
Proficiency is the key.
That's right.
All right. Captain Jonathan Champagne, thank you for your time, sir.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Great insight. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, there are